Centaur, your kind of company.
Tonight on CTV3 News, police investigate death of elderly man in Sartineja. Minister of State Ramon Cervantes Jr. lawyers up and demands apology from Channel 7's Jules Vasquez. Detention made in robbery cases carried out in the fishing village of Sartineja. And we'll tell you about a study being carried out here in the north to uproot the history of the Maya civilization belief. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Friday, January 13th, 2023.
I am ready. You are getting the new and improved me. This is nice.
I think what really impressed him was the fact that I didn't turn into a monster.
Bring on the heat! Start up the gunfire! Wait for the day!
It's about a relationship that hopefully many people can relate to.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Face FM 106.7, I am Ethan Rodriguez. 2 days ago, we brought you the story about the recent spree of armed robberies in the fishing village of Sartineja in the Corozal district. The weeks-long incidents had residents riled up and demanding quick response from the authorities so that their lives can return to normalcy. As we told you before, these robberies in Sartineja never made it on the police blotter. In an update, today we spoke to the chairman of the village via phone about what has happened since we last aired the story. Here is what he told us.
La cosa es que como agarraron al muchacho, ya no se llevó a cabo. pasó.
¿Cuándo agarraron al muchacho?
Ayer, amaneció ayer, ¿verdad? Lo agarraron. Vino la patrulla con la 1 de la mañana y se lo llevaron ya a Corozal. Yo creo que hoy van a traer a su caso. El muchacho es de acá de Sartineja.
¿Cómo se llama?
Exactamente qué pasó, no sé, porque yo no he ido a hablar con el policía, porque el policía solo me llamó que hoy se fue a ver sobre ese caso. Entonces cuando él venga, voy a conversar con él.
Ok. Entonces ya no se hizo Neighborhood Watch.
Todavía no hemos tomado paso de ello, pero yo creo que sí vamos a trabajar en ello.
¿Su gente se ha acercado a usted para platicar sobre el caso? ¿Que se sienten más tranquilos ahora que agarraron al muchacho? ¿O qué dice?
Pues veo las días más tranquilos porque no solo a él se llevaron como 2 personas más.
¿Son cómplices o de otros robos?
Yo no estoy seguro, pero yo creo que tal vez él dijo quién más andaban con él. Y se llevaron hoy 2 muchachos más.
The Sartineja Village Council plans to create a neighborhood watch for the community to arrest and or dismiss any future robbery incidents. There is a compelling news story to report tonight. It has to do with the way the media broadcasts information and reports on any regular day. The former Minister of State in the Ministry of Immigration, Honorable Ramon Monchi Cervantes, has retained the services of attorney Marcel Cardona Cervantes after Channel 7 aired a morning program called Monday Morning Beef with Jules Vasquez. It appears, as per the letter obtained by CTV3 News, that Jules Vasquez, Channel 7's news editor, made libelous and defamatory comments that are considered, quote, unfounded. The letter directed to Jules Vasquez says that the comments could, quote, inevitably call into question the previously unimpeached and sterling reputation for honesty and integrity of our client, especially in the handling of public affairs on behalf of members of our Belizean general public, unquote. We spoke to Cervantes' lawyer earlier today to find out more about the ongoing issue.
I will not deny that there are some legal issues that are being addressed at this time. I would not go as far though as say that it inevitably is going to be a legal battle. I believe it's just a misunderstanding that perhaps, right, can be a misunderstanding that can perhaps be clarified with the joint participation of both parties, especially, of course, the media personality, Mr. Jules Vasquez. My instructions from my client, Honorable Ramon Monchi Cervantes, are simply to have Mr. Jules correct that. Make a public correction to the record in relation to that. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as we are aware of here at our law firm, Mr. Ramon Monchi Cervantes, Honorable Ramon Monchi Cervantes, who is by professional training a certified public accountant, has been someone who has worked very diligently during his 50-odd years of life on this earth, very diligently to build a certain reputation for honesty and integrity in how he conducts himself, conducts his business, and conducts his public affairs. And it is certainly unfair and unjust for anyone to just come and, in a swoop, in one moment, just come and perhaps place all of that in peril, place all that life's work to nothing, just throw it away, right? And so the communication with Mr. Vasquez is in this vein, no? To make an earnest attempt to try to see if we can have some, we can have the record, the public record corrected, right? Persons, I know, persons having listened to that program may have easily been misled into believing, right, that there was some sort of impropriety or something, no, being ascribed to to the honorable client, and I believe that it is therefore extremely important for Mr. Jules Vasquez to correct that public perception. All right, unless Mr. Vasquez has some definitive proof to the contrary, he must correct that perception, which he helped to create during his program on Monday of this week.
We asked Cardona whether Vasquez has responded to the letter and if he foresees the case going to court.
My office communicated, I can confirm, communicated to Mr. Jules Vasquez earlier today, and he has acknowledged receipt of our communication, right? So I'm looking forward to Mr. Jules Vasquez then doing the reasonable thing, which is to offer a public apology if indeed he has said certain things or whatever that may lead people to believe something to the contrary. I believe he needs to apologize publicly in the same way, in the same form that he asserted certain things which could have been perceived to be extremely detrimental to the reputation of our client. I believe it is important for him to help now, right, clarify that what he was speaking about are not facts, but rather just assumptions, etc., which there is no evidence to back it up at this time. Remember, there have been recent cases, lines of cases, where even imputations against people's reputation is enough. You have one with an honorable member for Corozal South, Corozal North, right? The mere imputation against his reputation led to certain things, etc. And here it is clear. Even though you throw the lick and then you hide your hand, as I say, by saying, but you know something, notwithstanding X, Y, and Z, these are just suspicions or whatever. You can't go blurting out suspicions of this and suspicions of that against persons, because people will not look at the last words that you say, oh, but these are just suspicions. They will just remember that you made certain imputations against their good character, their good names. And that is the detrimental effect of a media personality getting on into these sorts of conversations. So I think that it is important for Mr. Jules to do the right thing and to offer a public apology, equally well-publicized apology to our client, the Honorable Cervantes, in relation to the words that he used, etc. Because I mean, when you look at it or whatever, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Keep following this case to see how it goes, and we'll bring you the updates as it unfolds. Corozal police are tonight investigating the cause of death of a man from the village of Sartineja in Corozal. The body of the elderly man was found inside his home early this morning. Confirming the incident, Paulino Guerrero, chairman of the village, told us the male person goes by the alias Chelinsky. His body was discovered by a passerby who became concerned after realizing that a foul smell was emanating from the home. The police were alerted and the body was transported to the Corozal Community Hospital, where it was pronounced dead on arrival.
La patrulla está cada rato acá en la aldea. Ahorita acaba de salir otra vuelta. Porque amaneció que hay un señor de esos que toman demasiado y apareció muerto en donde queda y ya el cuerpo se está descomponiendo ya. tiene mal olor. Acaba de ir la patrulla y se lo llevaron también.
¿El señor se murió anoche?
Ay, yo creo que ya tiene como 3 días que murió, pero hasta hoy se dieron cuenta los vecinos y nos avisaron y fuimos a ver y llamamos a la policía. La policía vino, ahorita llevaron el cuerpo.
¿Tiene familiares?
Mexicano.
Diga.
¿Sí?
¿Tiene familiares ese señor? ¿Ahí?
Yo por Chile sí lo conozco, pero su verdadero nombre yo no sé cómo es. Porque él es años vive acá, pero no es de acá de la aldea.
There are no known relatives of the deceased at this time. No foul play is suspected. Coming up next, pen notes of the Honorable George Cadle Price made public. Stay tuned.
¡Es hoy! ¡Por fin es hoy!
A rodar.
¡Sí, señor!
¡Esto va a estar bueno!
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
There is an interesting story coming out of Corozal worth mentioning in our newscast tonight. We found out that there is a research project involving the Great Maya civilization of the indigenous peoples of northern Belize. The members of Taon Masehualon NGO are supporting the first genetic research project involving living subjects in Mayan communities of northern Belize. The project is titled A Genomic and Isotopic Analysis of Human Populations Histories in Belize. This project is led by anthropologist Dr. Rick Smith, PhD professor at George Mason University, Fairfax, Virginia, USA, and anthropologist Dr. Austin Reynolds, of PhD professor at Baylor University, Texas, USA. The project seeks to utilize DNA from descendants of the Maya of northern Belize who have been continuously living in Belize for thousands of years and up to this present time.
As you know, to start a research, you have to start small. You have to pick a location. And they have been working on this project for about 5 years. And so about a year ago, they found out about our NGO here in northern Belize, Tony Masawalon, and we share common goals. They're interested in the Maya ancestry as a whole, past and present, and we are interested in preserving all of the Maya culture, not just one aspect of it. So it seemed like a really great fit for them to work with us. And the linkage between that was that we are friends with archaeologist that works here in Corozal, Cynthia Robbins, and she was our connector for this project. What occurred is they made an intention to come up with 75 different samples, and we had 63 samples, and that was over a 4-day period, and yesterday was the last day. So they're quite happy with the amount that they got.
Okay, what were they looking for exactly?
Well,
In
the
these samples?
samples that are taken, they're pretty much saliva samples, because we're looking at the genetic makeup of the living Maya, the living subjects, compared to the Maya ancestry of 4,000 years ago. So this is the initial phase, and it's an ongoing study. And the reason why I find it very exciting is that, as far as I know, it's the first time that we're doing DNA samples on living subjects.
Adela Peterson Vallejos, the president of To'on Mase Hualun, told us what interesting facts have been discovered so far.
What I found out during these 4 days is that what's important is for the living Maya, what they told us is, not all of them, a small percentage of them, is that they felt initially that they are not Maya because they don't speak the Maya language, which was very interesting to me. And this would give them personal proof that your DNA says you're how many percent Maya, right? That just because you don't speak the language does not make you less Maya. It also proved to me that what's important to the people of Northern Belize is for them to be able to communicate in the ancestral knowledge. So our work continues, because if that's important to the public, then it behooves us to get the language back current for the Maya of present day Belize.
At the end of the project, the goal is to recover some of the history of the Maya people of Belize and assist with reconstructing the history of Northern Belize over the last 3,000 years.
We have oral research, we have historical research, but we've never had living research, living documentation. And that's the missing link that we want to fulfill. And that the DNA carries a lot of history, verified history of the person, of the past, and how it links people to their ancestors. So it could tell you the relation of one group of Maya to the other, how they traveled through the country, of the locations. So many different things will come out from that sample. How it's going to happen is the professors are taking the samples back to Virginia, and in the lab there, they're going to read what the DNA strands are saying about the various subjects. And in June, they're coming back with the research, the results of it, and what they're going to find is on a collective level, how the different communities relate to each other. And then also on a personal level, it can tell what the DNA is of that particular subject and how that subject related to other Maya groups. If they're Maya or if they're related to other genetic groups other than Maya. So that's the result we're looking for. They have a commitment to come back in June. And when they do, we're going to all the different communities to give the results of the community and also individual results. And so with the individual results, if they want, they can share it to other people, but that would be on, their decision. But collectively, it will be open for the general public.
The research study has been approved by the Institutional Review Board at George Mason University and will be conducted according to international and locally accepted ethical guidelines for research, namely the Declaration of Helsinki, and guidelines provided by the Institute of Archaeology and the National Institute for Culture and History in Belize. The project is completely voluntary, and its results will have a lasting impact on the study of the Maya of Belize. The father of the nation, George Cadle Price, became a man of his word, backed up by his deeds and life's long sacrifice to place the land of the free, a sovereign nation known to the world as Belize. It was the practice of the Emeritus Price to write notes. That part of his legacy was made public today at a special event after 40 boxes of Price's notes were uncovered.
It's really the archives, the team at the archives department. Over the last 2 years, I've been talking to them about doing an exhibit on George Price and putting together some of his speeches. So I asked them to do an extensive search of the available documents. And I was, shocked and absolutely thrilled when they told me they had uncovered 40 boxes of material related to George Price that had previously not been made public.
So I feel like we find Mr. George Price's journals.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff. So I was absolutely thrilled. Immediately I told them, listen, let's get to work. Let's bring in other people. Let's bring in the niche. Let's bring in the Institute for Research. Let's get in touch with UB, all the various partners, the library service. So we brought everyone together, and we, as they said, we got some history students from UB to help us with the research and collating and going through these speeches, these boxes. So, it was absolutely, incredible event. Just by luck, these boxes were stuck in some corner, and they uncovered them. Incredible that, for all these years, we have not seen these. So, it's an exciting effort. We're very proud of it, and this, as I said in my remarks, this is the first volume. Obviously, this is just 12 speeches. Imagine we have 40 boxes of material. So there's a lot more to come. We're going through it, and there are entire boxes that deal with social issues, with economic issues, with political issues. So we'll try to develop themes and booklets related to those themes, and over the months and years to come, we hope to consistently and continuously unveil these speeches and share them with the Belizean people.
Limited video recordings were found. However, pen notes abounded since Price would write on anything available during his time.
Very limited video. They're looking at some to see what they can recover of some very old video, and then there are some audio. Again, very limited. It's mainly, if you know George Price, he wrote on anything available to him. So there are speeches on envelopes, brown envelope speeches on the back of pieces of paper. All sorts of things. And of course, he liked to type his own speeches. So there are a lot of typewritten notes with scratches and his own notes on the side of
Beta
those
versions.
Right. So it's an incredible trove of information, surrounding the life and legacy of the father of our nation. So it's incredibly valuable, and our objective is to share all of it with the Belizean people, especially our young people, our students, so that they can have a better understanding and appreciation of the life that this great man led, and hopefully it can inspire future generations.
Price traveled immensely across Belize. While he is known to be the man that gave Belize her independence, his career also had its controversies, which he also wrote about.
There are speeches he gave about, for example, as you said, the heads of agreement. That's there. So there are many other that some may deem controversial topics. So it's a widespread. It covers many different areas, and we will share everything with the Belizean people, because that's what's necessary, and that's what's right. You're right. People, when we talk about national heroes, it's not just about, everything that's good and perfect about them. We also want to show people that they were humans, they were people with flaws and weaknesses as well. So we certainly hope to offer everything to the Belizean people.
In his house here in Belmopan at Oro Avenue, we found some of his writings as well. We also found the Bible passage that he was at, because he read the Bible every single day, and he used to mark the pages that he would read on that particular day. And right before he got sick, he was in his house and he was reading a particular verse. So we still have the Bible open to that verse in the house, no? So it's something that we will always treasure.
Fonseca was candid in remembering how and what about Price inspired his career as a politician.
everything about George Price really inspires me. So I was like a kid when they told me about this discovery. I was absolutely thrilled. I had the good fortune as a young man of spending time with George Price, being around him. Even as a student, for summers I worked at the Belize Times, and he was very much often there. So I worked with him. We talked a lot. So I got to know him very well. But this was an absolute thrill for me, and you're right. There's so much information in there. There's so much that all of us can learn and be inspired by from these speeches. So certainly, it's his call for national unity everywhere he went. His understanding and appreciation that all of us were equal, all of us as Belizeans. His love for the working man, his understanding that it was the labor of the ordinary man that built this country, and that he depended on that ordinary man to do things for him to create independent Belize. So he was very focused, of course, throughout this period. These are speeches from his time as Premier of Belize. So he was very, very focused. His sole focus was an independent Belize. So that was his cause, and that was his crying call wherever he went in the country. And of course, as you all know, he traveled widely. He traveled to every nook and cranny of our country, to the very remote communities, delivering this message of national unity and the need for Belize to be free from the shackles of colonialism. So all of us can learn from this incredible man's life and legacy.
As for Honorable Charles Usher, he referred to the leader of the nation as Uncle George, who took him on trips in the famous Land Rover ride Price loved to drive.
It's always important for us to remember the persons who created this nation, the persons who fought for independence, our forefathers, and certainly the Right Honorable George Price, the father of the nation, our national hero, is someone whose legacy we must continue to live by and we must continue to learn from. Yes, we called him Uncle George, and certainly we had a unique relationship with him. We were able to spend a lot of quality time with him on weekends when he took us around in his Land Rover, or when he was teaching us about Belize, about the culture, about the geography. He was a well-learned man, even though he didn't complete his education. He knew a lot about different topics, different subjects, and he was always willing to impart that knowledge to us. One of the greatest events, independence, when I asked him about it, were you ready for independence? He said yes. He said he realized that the people of Belize were ready. They were like horses at the gate, he said, just bursting and ready to burst through the gate and ready to have an independent Belize. So certainly we have to continue to live by that legacy.
George Cadell Price served as first Prime Minister and Premier under British rule until independence in 1981, when he became the nation's first Prime Minister. On Sunday, January 15th, the Right Honorable George Cadell Price would have been 104 years old. The National Institute of Culture and History, through the Institute for Social and Cultural Research, in collaboration with the Belize Archives and Record Services, the Belize National Library Service and Information System, the George Price Center for Peace and Development, and the University of Belize launched the exhibit titled Let Belize Live. The goal is to inspire national pride and patriotism and nation building. Today, Governor General Her Excellency Dame Froila Zalam swore in Mrs. Dorothy Bradley as the Acting Auditor General. Per a resolution passed in the House of Representatives on August 24, 2022, and the Senate on August 29, 2022, Mrs. Bradley was appointed to act as Auditor General for a period of 2 years, with effect from September 1, 2022. Today, Christopher Koyi, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment, on behalf of the Prime Minister and Government of Belize, virtually presented to other finance ministers in the Voice of the South Summit, organized by the Government of India. Minister Koyi discussed the Global South's concerns, vision, and solutions to the challenges that affect us all. He stated that Belize made significant gains since the economic downfall of COVID-19. He highlighted that among other achievements, Belize is now among the fastest growing economies in the region, rebounding by over 15% in 2021 and roughly increased by 12% in the first 3 quarters of 2022, with the unemployment rate falling to a historic low of 5%. Minister Koyi emphasized that despite these gains, Belize continues to live precariously close to the proverbial edge. For a small and vulnerable economy, poverty reduction and the development of a sustainable future for the people of Belize means building not only economic resiliency, but climate resiliency. The increased frequency and destructive effects of hurricanes, floods, and even droughts in Belize reduce and often reverse any development gains made. Furthermore, Koyi stressed that stepping away from the edge requires more than is provided for by the current global financial architecture. A more debt-to-debt distressed economy or more immediate access to debt in the event of disasters is little more than a mere band-aid on a festering life-threatening wound. As such, he offered numerous recommendations for a fresh and curative approach to climate and development finance. Minister Koyi closed his address by proposing the reimagining and restructuring of the global financial architecture, with unity of voice and purpose. On behalf of Prime Minister John Bersenio and the people and government of Belize, Koyi extended his appreciation to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the government of India for their vision to organize the Voice of the South Summit, and for providing Belize with a platform to discuss and highlight these challenges and solutions. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Tuesday, January 17th here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3newsbz. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, have a pleasant and safe weekend. Thank you for watching and listening. Good night.